Truman Show delusion is an extraordinarily rare and relatively new mental disorder in which individuals believe they are the main character in a massive, ongoing reality TV show. In their minds, the entire world around them is nothing but an elaborate movie set, filled with hidden cameras and actors whose sole purpose is to record their every move. The name of this disorder comes from the 1998 film The Truman Show, starring Jim Carrey. In the movie, Truman Burbank is unknowingly adopted by a corporation at birth. His entire life unfolds on a gigantic, enclosed film set built to resemble a town. Thousands of hidden cameras capture his every moment, broadcasting it live to millions of viewers around the world. While real-life cases vary from person to person, almost all sufferers of Truman Show delusion share one fundamental belief: that they are the real-life version of Truman Burbank. One patient described their mindset this way: "I realized that I was, and still am, the center, the focus of attention for millions of people. My family and everyone I know are actors in a massive charade, a scripted performance designed entirely to make me the star of the world's attention." From a medical standpoint, Truman Show delusion is considered a symptom of psychosis, and in some cases, an early indicator of schizophrenia. While multiple cases have been recorded, few are as remarkable, or as unsettling, as that of a man known simply as Albert. Albert was a 26-year-old man from western Pennsylvania. On the surface, he lived a perfectly ordinary life, working at an assembly plant and residing with his parents. But, in 2002, his quiet routine took a strange and disturbing turn. One day, without warning, Albert traveled over 200 miles to New York City and attempted to enter the United Nations headquarters. When a security guard stopped him, Albert lashed out and punched the man, leading to his arrest and subsequent admission to Bellevue Psychiatric Hospital. It was there that psychiatrist Joel Gold and his brother, Ian Gold, a neurophilosopher, first encountered Albert and uncovered the full extent of his delusion. Albert believed, beyond any doubt, that he was the protagonist of a massive television show based on his life. In his mind, everyone around him, including his parents, were actors playing assigned roles. He claimed that invisible producers monitored his every move through tiny wireless cameras implanted in his eyes, and that even major world events were fabricated storylines. Most shockingly, Albert insisted that the 9/11 terrorist attacks had been staged as part of the show's plot, to make the story more dramatic for viewers. Before his arrest, Albert's goal had been to escape what he believed was the show's artificial world. He had traveled to the United Nations to seek asylum, convinced that the organization could help him break free from his supposed captors. Albert's case became the first officially documented instance of what the Gold brothers would later name Truman Show delusion. Since then, they have encountered and diagnosed several hundred individuals with similar beliefs, each convinced that their lives are being broadcast to the world. Unfortunately, as modern technology continues to advance, with cameras growing smaller and surveillance becoming more pervasive, the number of Truman Show delusion cases may only increase. It's a chilling reminder of how blurred the line between reality and illusion can become when paranoia meets an age of constant observation. 𝐬𝐽 syndrome, also known as delusional parasitosis, is a rare mental health disorder in which patients become convinced they are infested with insects or parasites. These imagined infestations can involve worms, mites, bacteria, or even small animals like mice. In extreme cases, individuals claim to feel creatures crawling beneath their skin. Although 𝐬𝐽 syndrome doesn't directly damage the body, the delusion often drives sufferers to harm themselves while trying to remove the imaginary parasites. Some resort to using sharp objects to scratch or dig into their skin, while others go as far as spraying themselves with toxic pesticides, leading to dangerous breathing problems and poisoning. Fortunately, medical treatments such as antidepressants and cognitive behavioral therapy have been shown to reduce symptoms and help patients regain control of their thoughts. However, there is a harsh reality behind this condition. Delusional parasitosis is characterized by an unshakable belief. Those suffering from it are absolutely convinced that parasites are invading their bodies, even when all medical evidence proves otherwise. Because of this, many refuse to accept treatment or even acknowledge that they are ill. This was precisely the case for a 53-year-old woman from Colombia in 2017. By the time she sought medical help, she had been living with 𝐾𝐨𝐽 syndrome for 5 long years. Her symptoms included severe depression, constant itching, and even visual hallucinations. Desperate for relief, she began using toxic cleaning chemicals on her skin and clothes in an attempt to kill the parasites she believed were living inside her. Nothing she tried worked. When she visited the hospital, she brought samples of what she claimed were the parasites. However, lab tests revealed that the specimens were nothing more than dried flakes of her own skin, likely peeled off during her repeated attempts to clean or scratch herself. Blood tests also showed no signs of any infection or infestation. The doctors gently explained that her symptoms were psychological and recommended a psychiatric evaluation, but she refused to believe them. Convinced that her body truly was infested, she rejected all medical advice and stopped responding to treatment offers. Hopefully, that woman eventually received the care she needed and found relief from this tormenting condition. But given her initial response to the diagnosis, it's sadly unlikely. 𝐾𝐨𝐽 syndrome remains one of the most excruciating and misunderstood psychological disorders, trapping sufferers in a horrifying loop between fear and disbelief. Dissociative fugue is an extremely rare condition in which a person completely forgets their identity and personal history. What sets it apart from ordinary amnesia is that individuals in a fugue state are not disoriented or frightened by their memory loss. Instead, they remain fully aware of their surroundings and often travel to distant locations, almost as if searching for something. In some cases, they may even establish an entirely new life under a different name. This ability to create a second life is arguably the most unsettling aspect of the disorder. These alternate lives can appear so normal that no one would suspect anything unusual unless they had known the person before. Some sufferers can remain in this alternate identity for months, living a completely new life, while their loved ones struggle to understand their disappearance. Although the mechanisms behind dissociative fugue remain unclear, the disorder is strongly linked to amnesia and dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personality disorder. Causes can include severe physical or emotional trauma, use of psychotropic drugs, and, in some cases, may appear as a side effect of dementia. Fortunately, dissociative fugue has never been known to persist permanently. Patients eventually regain their awareness, only to find themselves in unfamiliar places with no recollection of how they arrived there.
It was early in the morning. I'm not sure at what time. Looked like the sun was just starting to come up, so there was some light there. I was half picking myself off of the ground, and I had no idea where I was. I didn't recognize no buildings, no streets, no nothing.
Jeff frantically searched his pockets, hoping to find any form of identification, but all he discovered was $8 in cash. Unable to remember a single detail about his past, he asked the people nearby for help, but they dismissed him, assuming he was just a drug-affected or mentally unstable individual.
And it was extremely, extremely terrifying. They turned me away as if I was, someone that lives off of the streets or was some kind of a psychotic person, like you don't know where you are kind of thing.
With no other options, Jeff decided the most logical course of action was to find a hospital. Lacking the money for a cab, he walked for hours until he finally located one after an exhausting 8-hour journey. Yet even something as basic as scheduling an appointment proved challenging due to his complete memory loss.
And I ended up walking into Denver Health. I walked up to where they take the admissions and stuff like that, and said I need help. They go, okay, well, what is your name? I said, I have no idea. That's what I'm here for. She says, well, you got to put something down. I said, I don't know my name. Like, you guys don't understand. So they just gave me a name and stuff there, John Doe. Still drilled me, what's your name? I said, I don't know. And I'm in tears at this time. I'm shaking really, really bad. I can barely stand up.
At the hospital, doctors attempted every available method, from medication to therapy, to help Jeff recover his memory. However, after 6 weeks of treatment, he still had no idea who he was. Desperate for a solution, he decided to make his situation as public as possible, hoping someone from his previous life might recognize him. On October 22nd, he appeared on national television asking for help.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. I just try to look for information in my head, and it's not there.
It's just blank.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about that then? About not knowing?
It's very stressful, yes.
Can you do me a favor? Can you take off your hat so we can see what you look like without the baseball cap? Because people may remember you that way. And do you know if you always wore glasses, or you just have no idea?
I have no idea.
Why don't you take those off as well so we can see what it looks like without the glasses?
Fortunately, his fiancée, Penny Hansen, saw him and immediately contacted the authorities, providing photos to confirm her connection to him. Jeff Ingram was finally reunited with Penny, someone he couldn't even identify just 24 hours earlier. It was revealed that Jeff, a 40-year-old machinist from Olympia, Washington, had gone into a fugue state on September 6 while visiting a friend in Canada who was terminally ill. The stress of facing the potential loss of a dear friend likely triggered the episode. This was not Jeff's first experience with dissociative fugue. In 1995, he disappeared for 9 months, though he regained his memory relatively quickly after that episode. In contrast, the 2006 incident did not resolve immediately. He did not recover his memory after seeing his fiancée, and took nearly 2 months to begin readjusting to his old life. To prevent future incidents, Jeff took several precautions. He bought GPS-enabled shoes, tattooed his identification information on his body, and began wearing a zip disk containing his medical details around his neck. The most disturbing aspect of this experience, however, was that Jeff recalled having 2 children who had died in a car accident, a memory that was entirely false.
And what came out of that? Any clues?
A few clues that I might have worked in New York or in the New York area, that I did have a family.
That you did have a family?
A wife and 2 kids, and they were all killed in a car crash somewhere by a drunk driver. Maybe in the New York area, we're not sure.
Moral of the story is, never ignore the signs of mental distress. Help can make all the difference.